All right, guys, so we've been talking about doing a Q&A for a while. Now, if you're here on YouTube, go ahead and put in the comments. If you have questions for me about the golf swing, ask them now, and I will answer you guys in the future. But today, I got some questions off of Twitter and Instagram from some of my followers, and we're going to go about answering them. The first one is from Kip Henley, famous tour caddy, very smart guy, very interesting follow. He's over on Twitter. He said, can you explain something about shaft lean? So shaft lean can be a confusing topic for players. What's the right amount? What are you trying to achieve? So basically, if we simplify it, okay, shaft lean is basically just the amount that the shaft is either leaning forward or backward. So you can get positive shaft lean or negative shaft lean. Most players are going to have some of it. So when you look at shaft lean, it is a important thing to understand. There's a lot of variables involved in it. So a lot of players think that if you have forward shaft lean, you're going to be hitting down onto a golf ball. You're going to have a very steep angle of attack. That's not true. So you can get a lot of forward shaft lean and have a shallow angle of attack. That's what you see a lot with the low flighted wedges, the stingers. They're not hitting down hard on that golf ball to hit that shot. So when you think about shaft lean, the biggest variable that is the most important is how much speed is a player creating. A player who creates a lot of speed is generally going to want to get the shaft more forward through impact than a player who doesn't create a lot of speed. That's a very important variable, and it's very important. So if you don't create a lot of speed, you're not going to be able to rely on spin to get the golf ball up in the air and stop the ball on a green. If you create a lot of speed, you can definitely flight it lower. It will check with spin, and then you get into controlling spin rates from there to control your golf shots. So the second question we got is from Matt, another Twitter question. Shallowing the golf club and sequencing it up. Okay, so from that question, I kind of think that we're talking about when do we want the club to shallow, how do we react when it shallows. So that's a loaded question there. Some players shallow it early in transition. Some players do it in the backswing and then just maintain that angle coming down. Other players shallow it late. I think shallowing it late gets into creating a whole bunch of compensations, and there's going to generally be some movement patterns that can make impact tricky. So generally you want to see it in transition, or a player that goes back in the backswing and just holds on to that angle and keeps it shallow the whole way down. So if you're shallowing it in transition, that's where you want to feel the wrist angles changing and moving more towards flexion. You'd want to see a little bit of forearm roll, some external shoulder rotation. Some players shallow it through a tilt. If you put on a lot of right side bend, that helps keep the club head behind the hands. I don't necessarily love that one because that's going to compromise impact, but I prefer to see a player do it in transition. That is, a movement that I like. It has benefits as long as you're getting that club face under control with the proper wrist angles. You're going to be in a good position. Another player, this is a coach, Robert. He had a question about some advice for a beginner golf coach. Now, this one is kind of fun because any golf coach is at one point in time a beginner golf coach. The best piece of advice I can give for someone who's getting into the game is to understand your strengths. Every coach has different strengths. Every coach reacts to players differently. But if you can understand your ability to communicate, how you communicate the best, every coach is going to have players that they get along with better. The players react to them better. There's no perfect coach for every player. I wish there was. I'd try and get all of them. But, when you're dealing with good players, everyone reacts differently to different coaches. So understanding your strengths when it comes to communication, going in and diving into every piece of information you possibly can. Butch Harmon a long time ago told me down in Miami, we were at the PGA Tour event, and I stopped him and I said, what's the best piece of advice for a golf coach? And he said, look at what everyone is teaching, learn what everyone is teaching, and make your decisions off of the knowledge that you can get from them. You may not like what they teach, you may not agree with what they teach. What they teach may be total BS. That's fine, but learn what they're teaching, because you can pick up stuff from other people, and just study coaches that you respect, and even coaches that you don't know of or don't respect. Learn what they're teaching and gain the knowledge, every bit of knowledge that you can. The fun thing about golf instruction is we're all problem solvers, right? That's what our business is. And getting as much knowledge as you possibly can to be the best problem solver that you possibly can be is a big part of the fun. So there's 3 questions. We're gonna do this most Mondays. If you got some, put them down below in the comments, and hopefully we get to yours. All right, thanks.